I'll start it. Well, good morning. Friends, this is a good day. The sun's shining outside, days are getting longer, even the robins are coming back. We're gathered together again in this place to worship. Hopefully COVID is waning, the restrictions are being lifted, and in a couple of weeks, we hope that we can once again have coffee hour downstairs after church. And thanks for that. Best of all, we have our new minister, Reverend Doug, with us. Before I get into an introduction of Doug, I want to give a word of thanks once again to Ron. He was appropriately thanked by Jan Polgar last week, but that was a taped service. There was nobody out here to show their appreciation for him. Ron has put in a huge effort in providing us some very inspirational messages and services over the last 6 weeks. So Ron, if you want to just stand up for a moment, we would like to give you our appreciation. Now, I'd like to introduce and welcome Reverend Doug. Doug, we're delighted to have you here as our minister and spiritual leader. Oh, I'm monitoring the slides. I forgot about that. There we are. So he arrived Monday morning, bright and early, and before we even let him take his coat off and almost come in the door, we got a picture taken outside with him. To show the world that we have got a wonderful new minister with us. And as a way of introducing Doug to you, I thought I would go back to when we were considering the call. He gave us a couple of people as for references that we contacted. They had some wonderful things to say, and I thought I'd just share a few of those with you. First of all, Doug meets people well, very open and inviting. Next, he's charismatic, but with a humbleness that draws people in. And then something they couldn't say enough of, everybody loves Doug. He especially connects well with youth. He's very caring and attentive to matters of pastoral care. And on a personal side, he loves swimming and running. And this one individual said, I think he used to play hockey, but I think he's put that on the shelf for a while with his new family now. I think, is that correct? And lastly, Doug is one of the good ones. His ministry is about God and faith and helping his parishioners with their faith. His ministry is not about himself. So after we let him in the doors Monday morning, he found his desk, and we had a nice luncheon. Barb and Linda prepared a very nice luncheon with Doug and the staff and a few others. And then he got to work. He met some of the staff through the week and others. Ethel and I came in Thursday morning to chat with him about this morning. And of course, Thursday was a day where there was no school because of the snow, so it was a bring your kids to work day all of a sudden for Doug on Thursday morning. And I can tell you it was an absolute delight to see these three little girls, two of them sitting on his lap while he was working on the computer putting some of the slides together. Quite delightful. He is also the kind of dad to build a backyard rink and for skating, and I think it has sort of morphed into a bit of a curling rink as some of the kids in the neighborhood have taken it over more as curling and skating, I think, and that. But it's been a good winter for backyard rinks, that's for sure. I also thought that I would share a couple of comments. In Lambeth here, we have the magazine, the Lambeth Villager. Not all of you get it because you're not within the community of Lambeth. This is an article Doug has written for the Villager to introduce himself to the community. So these are just a couple of the comments that I pulled out of that. The first one, I'm a girl dad. Because of that, I'm a bigger Taylor Swift fan than most middle-aged people. And Lambeth United Church is committed to help make the Lambeth community the best it can be. That's something I love about this church. Helping build and grow community has always been a passion of mine. If that's a passion of yours, I hope to connect with you. I'm also passionate about church. I love that, like family, church is a place where we don't have to agree on everything, but we find that in being together, life celebrations and trials are made better. And lastly, if learning about faith is an interest of yours, I hope you connect with us for a Sunday morning service. I'd love for you to come and hope to feel welcome. My attitude is, life in the world can be a complex thing to figure out, but when we do it together, more often than not, things become less complex and we can find meaning. And then he signed the article off. Bye for now, Doug. This kind of casual guy he is. So that is from the March issue of the Villager. It comes out around the 1st of March, so if you can, we have some issues downstairs usually, and if you want to read the whole article, it'll be there. Friends, I'd like you to meet one of the good ones, Reverend Doug Peck, but he likes to be called just Doug. So Doug, welcome to Lambeth United Church, and welcome to Jess and the girls as well.
Thank you so much, Drew. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. Thank you, Drew. There's so many people to thank. I have to thank my references because they said some pretty nice things. And there's some pretty nice people too, so it kind of tears you up. Something you should also probably know about one of my passions, I think I have a pretty good Stuart McLean impression. Lambeth, Ontario. And that's all I'm going to do about that. If you have one, I would love it if you shared it with me. And there's so many people to thank for such a warm welcome. I would also really, there's a couple people who just very lovingly pointed me in all the right directions. Reverend Diane McPherson is one of those people. I've always been a huge fan of hers. I've always heard so many wonderful things about Reverend Matthew Penny and Reverend Dr. Ron. Hearing you preach over the last few weeks, it's just what a depth of support and love is within this place. Not to mention the team that you have put together with Aaron, and Judy is now retired. Teamwork here, and I'm so excited just to see that in action, even more so than I already have, which has just been wonderful. And so thank you all so much. And I'm going to turn it over to our lector, Barb, now. And I'm so excited to meet you all and get to hear about your funny quirks, because that's my favorite part of people. And then we figure out the serious stuff after that.
So if you can follow along in the bulletin, we light this small candle May we carry this light with us always. And please join me in the call to worship. As one week, embrace of God, whose welcome is always assured. We come confident that God is always with us. We come thankful that this is the world which we live. We have this place to call our spiritual home, and people to companion us on our journey. We come to give thanks. Come and let us worship God. Please join in our first hymn, 382 in Voices United, Breathe on Me, Breath of God. Okay, we've got lots of announcements this morning. While Erin's coming to the front, I'll let her go second. I'll just start. It is with sadness that we announce the passing of Wayne Cornell. On February 16th. Visitation will be Tuesday, February 22nd from 2 to 4 and 7 to 9, and Wednesday, February 23rd from 2 to 4. Please log on to the funeral home website because you need to book, and it's in 15-minute intervals, and I do think they want you to pre-book the time that you're planning to do the visitation. Wayne's celebration of life will be held here at the church on Thursday, February 24th at 11 a.m.
Hello, friends. It's so nice to have people back in the building and talking to folks instead of a screen. One-sided conversations can be my specialty. However, sometimes it's nice for some real human contact, I'm not going to lie. So quickly, I just wanted to share with you, we did a virtual Valentine's Day card-making event last weekend. And in kind of spreading the word, I told y'all we were going to be doing Valentine cards like you've never done before. And the challenge was there. We did start off looking at John 13 and talking about the love that we are called to share with the world. But then I challenged us to go one step further, and I went into 1 Peter 4. And it talks about love covering a multitude of sins. And so the challenge we had as we created these Valentine's cards was to think of those people that we aren't necessarily automatically drawn to sending Valentine cards to. And so thinking outside the box of ways that you can still share God's love with those individuals that are a little bit more challenging for you to love. So it was an interesting experience, a little bit difficult to do through Zoom, but I think we had a good lanes. And so interestingly, we've iTunes to so if we do with our just come and wave at me and we'll turn it down. I apologize in advance.
Okay. I heard that somebody is celebrating a birthday this week. And I think her name is Neve. Am I right? How old are you going to be, Neve? Can you hold up your, how many fingers? 5. Can we sing happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Neve. Happy birthday to you. I don't know if she's going to wear it or not, but that's good. Oh, yay. Just carrying on, I'll highlight the rest of the announcements. Just a note from Alan, the music director. The bicentennial bells are going to start practicing again this Tuesday at 7 o'clock in the parlor. Choir practice resumes again on Thursday night at 7 o'clock in the sanctuary. And if anyone would like to join either the bells or the choir, please contact Alan. There's lots of room for lots more people. Just a reminder about Fundscript. Your orders can be placed this Sunday. Order forms are available in the narthex, and it says, get those grocery and gas cards going. Gas is certainly an expensive thing to buy these days. Just a mention as well, too, Ageless Grace will be starting again, but it is postponed by 1 week because of the funeral this week. There's a meeting of the trustees Friday, February 25th at 10 o'clock. Number 1 on the agenda is to meet Doug. He's part of the trustees. And number 2, they have to talk about mobilizing funds to pay for the insurance deductible and the new fan motors from the fire that occurred in the auditorium. And then there's a note there from the office about emails. So you may be getting an email from the office saying, who are you? So please reply so they can figure out who you are. And last thing, can anyone who's here from the reopening committee just meet really quickly here up in the choir loft right at the end of the service? I've just got a couple of things I'd like to talk to you about. And the envelopes are available in the narthex if anybody needs to still pick up their envelopes. Any other announcements from anybody? Yes. Oh, somebody, there was Connie found a key, it says main floor deadbolt. Oh, and we found the owner. Okay, that was quick, all right. Excellent. Okay, we'll move on to our next hymn, Take My Life and Let It Be, 506 in Voices United, or the words will be on the screen.
Take my
thanks. We give you thanks for worshiping together, but not from our couches. We give you thanks for feeling each other's presence in an animal kind of way. We can feel in our periphery the people whose voices and whose presence perhaps we didn't know so much, how much we love being next to them, how much we love being in a room and hearing the little updates. It is good to be together again. It is good that this is a day where the sun shines and the wind is calm, that we got here safely. It is good to be together in worship. It's not just us, it's others who are a part of us. Who yearn part of this body that we are in worship with this morning. Give us the strength to know others, even if they're different, even if they're sometimes hard to love. You dwelt among us, you set up a tent, you were, and we celebrate that Christ that is always here and among us. Emmanuel, God, you are with us.
Just before I start, I was interested to hear you talking about the late Stuart McLean. I was interested to hear you talking about the late Stuart McLean, and I was lucky enough to do a major tour with him out west in 2004, so I've got some good stories, so I'll share them with you. He's a great guy.
Aaron's like, okay, we're just getting started.
Now, very quickly, before Joe runs for the hills, because I see him already making a fast exit, we have had so much fun with Joe Saturday mornings. I can't tell you enough how fun it's been to fill this place with giggles. And the fact that he's sat with girls and girl talk every Saturday morning is pretty darn impressive, right? And so as a token of our appreciation, we wanted to say a very huge thank you to Joe for giving us his time and
God.
Who will grant the desires of your heart.
Evil shall be cut off.
But those who look to God shall inherit the earth.
In a little while, the wicked will inherit the earth.
They shall enjoy fullness of peace.
Salvation for the righteous comes from God. Their refuge in time of trouble.
God helps and delivers and rescues from the wicked.
Ephatha, that is, be opened. And immediately his ears were opened, his tongue was released to speak. And this too is the word of our God. Thanks be to God. Okay, Matt, I'm going to try walking over there quickly, but if you say, no, don't, then I won't. And Matt probably wouldn't yell it. He'd probably just give me one of these in a wordless by saying that maybe the reason why I wanted to become a minister in the first place was to be this close to the band. Because I have a pretty good view of My mic is not on. Okay, thank you, Matt. And thank you, Alan. Okay, that's way better. Bass, I've got this voice all of a sudden. Start again. Okay. People that you missed that. Because as my friend Susan would say, it was really profound. It was really profound. Egypt, they are humble and vulnerable in front of this guy who is clearly close to Pharaoh. He's strong and he's powerful. And this guy is looking at them thinking to himself, they don't know who I am. Oh my goodness. And doesn't that just make a part of you that's a little vindictive now and then? Doesn't that make that little part of you say, good, Joseph, use this, right? Make them pay. You've had enough time to think about it. These are the guys who, in jealousy, sold you into slavery. You must have had so much time to think about what would I give if I had the opportunity, and see past any kind of anger. He sees something that's a beautiful thought to me, especially when we see people who are angry right now. And if we could all just think about how angry we have been in our lives, and maybe justifiably, and how when you get angry, it can be so fueling that you just want no more, and you're ready to just part ways. You go this way, they go that way. I'm done with you. This is the kind of level of anger that we're seeing in our country today. We look to Ottawa, people that have been there for the last 3 weeks say, I am so angry at all. They become very different. Relationships can just be gone. Different parties all together. And Joseph, though he has every right to be just as angry as anyone we've ever seen in our lives, looks at them and says, well, what is underneath this in their humble time of need? Because I'm not seeing the same brothers that I used to see. I'm not seeing those fired up, angry brothers who were jealous of me and who sold me away. I'm seeing people who genuinely need support. How often is that the case underneath the anger that we communicate, or the anger that we hear communicated? I need support. I need support. It can be so hard to ask for this. And yet, when we see the call for some of that base, and when we see it ready to be received, and the glance, wordless, people that have this experience of jamming together, they just call for it in a way that's so effortless, in a way that doesn't care how different the banjo is from the violin or the fiddle, in a way that doesn't care that the piano has so many white buttons on it. So different from a bass or a double bass. They are so different, and yet they have found, I think, is a holy truth, that combining these very different things is a very enriching experience. And knowing how to call upon the strength of the bass can make my melody that much more poignant. Joseph is this guy who is no longer a dorky little brother that doesn't know how to be humble about the things he gets from his dad. He is strong and wise, and he helps people who are very powerful. and he's helped people who are not powerful. He has been jamming it out for quite a while, and he's learned that this is meant to be a gift for those who are different and for those who are in need and calling upon support. I love that line we heard Barb say there. Brothers, God sent me here ahead of you to preserve life. Not even the petty little anger that has just... a friend of mine who's been living in Britain for a while, so he calls that petty anger throwing your toys from the pram, right? So far beyond that. Such a beautiful thing that he has this insight and that he exercises it so beautifully. Support is a beautiful thing that is given when called upon. About the kind of support we've received in our lives and when it was needed and how it has the ability to wash away what was and usher in something most beautiful for what's needed. It has this way of making us feel indebted. It has this way of making us see beyond whoever gave it and think to ourselves, this was holy. We lift it up in thanksgiving. It is blessing because of a God who sends us ahead to preserve life and teaches us, I can support those in need. How exciting is that to lend that support out? How exciting is that to be instruments of God who gives us the power to help God preserve life? And it's not smooth and effortless at first, and neither was this beautiful music we have heard today. It was worked at, and it was worked at, and problems were solved over and over and over. It is wordless now. It wasn't this way in the beginning. How might we see music serving God in the same way, to the point where it lands to a place where we see one another as different, but very relatable. And we know how beautiful it is to receive it and to give it. Then through working it out and jamming it out together a little bit, we find ourselves making nicer and nicer music as we go. Something that Captain Obvious is about to tell you something. This congregation has been through so much change. A pandemic, and all these congregations around Canada have been going through such a similar thing. And how many changes have been going on in your life right now? A friend of mine, a colleague of mine said, all change equals grief. All change. All change equals grief. Big stuff, little stuff. Beyond the grief is energy. And I think that's the energy that we feel when we hear music, and that performers feel when they're playing for us. That there is an excitement to live into this new thing. And I've been watching and hearing the stories about the change, and that you together as a congregation have just been jamming with it. Reverend Penny has retired. How beautiful. What a big change that is for so many. The grief, the missing him, and then the sending of the support found in Reverend Diane and Reverend Dr. Ron. This is a progression. In Judy and performance together, knowing that when we call upon that depth, I totally skipped a hymn. That's a great one, too. 806. O God, our help in ages past. Please be seated. And let us pray. Holy One, we turn to you now in prayer. We turn to you offering our petitions, offering our thanksgivings, knowing that when we celebrate together, you heighten the celebration. We turn to you in prayer, showing our concerns, knowing that when we offer them, you communicate to us to lend support, to lend strength to others. And you also remind us that all things are in your process to become a part of your great thanksgiving. We offer you a thanksgiving for new things, the returning to church, and hearing music and meeting new friends. Children's voices, for the voices of adults, for the entire spectrum of diversity you have given us, and for the way you have displayed how it all blends together. We give you thanks for leadership. We give you thanks for experience. We give you thanks for team and support. We give you thanks for soup and warm hospitality. We give you thanks for good friends and moving our bodies and the excitement to get out and a reason to get out and move our bodies. We give you thanks for putting on some nice clothes instead of sweatpants for the 14th day in a row. We give you thanks indeed. We give you thanks for the life of Wayne, whose sudden loss is deeply felt. Roast beef has come to mind in so many conversations because it was a hospitality given that made everyone fed and relaxed. And now we take this light, and from this it has a place in our and go from this place glorified.